Back. So today we're going to look at a few old exam papers and some of the questions to help you prepare for your June exam. So the first paper we're going to look at is the June paper of 2022 of Gauteng. So the two questions we're going to focus on in this video is factorization. So as you can see, it was question 1.2.1 and then question 1.2.2. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I like to do when I have to factorize is write down my 5 methods of factorization. So my first method is to determine the highest common factor. My second method is the difference of two squares. My third method is my trinomial. My fourth method is grouping. And then my final method is cubes. Alright, so by now if you're ready to attempt these questions, you need to know your 5 methods and what each one entails. Alright, so immediately we can start eliminating what we know it will not be. So we know that this is not a trinomial because there's not 3 terms. We know it's not grouping because once again there's not 4 terms. And we also know that it's not cubes because there's no cube. Alright, so then we always start with our first method, which is HCF. So let's quickly check, is there a common factor? Alright, so let's look. Okay, so let's ignore that part. Alright, so let's get the common factor. Alright, so my first term, I have 2. And in my second term, I have 32. Alright, so the factors of 2 will be 1 and 2, and then the factors of 32 will be 1, 2, 4, etc. Alright, but immediately I can see my highest common factor will be 2. There's no letters here in my second term, so it means the only thing I can take out, the only common factor I have is 2. Alright, so let's make our brackets to determine what is left. Alright, remember to get the first term in my bracket. I'm going to take my first term, which was 2x squared, and divide it by what I took out, which is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and I'm left with an x squared. So I have an x squared. Alright, then we look at my second term. So my second term was 32, divided by the 2 I took out, leaves me with 6t. Right, so I have 2 bracket x squared minus 6t. Okay, so now we're done with my HCF. Now let's check if this part of my bracket is the difference of 2 squares. So remember, there's 3 conditions it first has to have before it can be the difference of 2 squares. The first one is that there has to be a minus, which there is. The second thing is it has to have 2 terms, right? Not more, not less, only 2 terms, which in fact it does. And then my last thing is it has to give me a perfect root. So let's see, the square root of 16 is in fact perfect because it gives me 4. Alright, so I can break this up into 2 brackets. I remember my one bracket will always be a positive, and my other bracket will always be a negative. Then to get the first value of my bracket, I'm going to get the square root of my first term, which is x squared. And then to get my second term, I'm going to get the square root of my second term, which is 16. Alright, and if I calculate this, it gives me the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 16 is 4. And then this side I have x minus 4. And then this is my final answer.